Hey, sports fans, Louis Diamond, live from Las Vegas, Nevada, in the BettorCenter studio. Going to recap, or actually not recap, going to give you some steam moves. And the football game's about ready to start here today, top of the hour. So lots of steam out there today, and let's get out there and start talking about it. So, but before I get on there, in a minute here, we'll be welcoming a newest member to the BettorCenter board, and that is going to be Jack Seven. Jack Seven is a mathematician, going to bring us some great regression models, have some images to show you, and things that he can offer you, and we'll get him out there on BettorCenter with some of these plays. He's got a couple picks for us today, and he has 4 money line plays for you as well that he feels has the mathematical edge. So before we get to Jack Seven, let's get to the Pittsburgh big steam today. Is the Pittsburgh Georgia Tech game. Game opens up 6.5, Georgia Tech, and it gets steamed all the way up to 10. But now the buyback is on, as it is back down to 8 and 7.5. So what really happened in this event here, guys, is that the game opened up at 6.5. Okay, now you have the opportunity to cross the 7, the 8, and actually you got all the way up to the 10 in this game. So what really happened, it wasn't so much Georgia Tech was the steam. You had to bet them because they were going to win. They saw an opportunity to cross, because think about it, if they bought it down to 6 early on, and they got it all the way up to 10 or even 10.5, if you're at the top of the market on both sides, boy, you got a nice little window of opportunity. So I wouldn't follow that steam right there on that game as far as thinking Georgia Tech is the play just because they got steamed early in the week. Because you see, the buyback was on, and they got themselves a pretty nice window of opportunity there. So next game is going to be the Louisiana Tech, and they are playing South Carolina, and that game opens up at 11.5, and South Carolina opens up at 11.5. Louisiana Tech gets a steam, and it was steamed down to 9. Current line right now is still 9.5. The total is opens up at 59, but the real steam right there is that the under has been hit all the way down to 52. Now that is a steam where it's probably something to follow, but it's a little bit too late to follow. But the under was probably the right steam on that game. I don't see much of the buyback happening. It did cross a couple key numbers in totals, 54 and 55. Actually, 54 through 57 are decent numbers when it totals. So the higher they get, more of a window opportunity opens for those numbers being closer together. So next game on the board is getting a lot of steam, and it's always seems to be UMass getting a lot of steam to the over. UMass opens up 57 total. Steamed up to 64. So big 7-point steam. Now back down to 60.5. Some places have as low as 58.5. So big steam up, big steam back down. Careful when you're following the line moves, guys. It's not always telling you who the winner is. So when the buyback is on, you got to worry about it. So Florida Atlantic at Buffalo, another big line move this week. Opens up at 3, still at 3. But the total, 53, gets itself steamed to the over at 61. Yesterday, current line right now is 60, and there's as high as 61. So a lot of steam on the Buffalo Florida Atlantic game over. So you want to keep your eye on that. You still may have a little bit of value because I see as low as 59 on it right now. So if you can find something like that, you probably got a good edge on the steam. So next steam move on the board, Nebraska at Rutgers. Nebraska really has been quite the underachiever and a good fade. But you're putting your money on Rutgers here today. And T. Bryant is out for Nebraska. Trey Bryant is out for Nebraska. And Rutgers gets the steam. Game opens up at 13.5. Bet down to 12. But the under also gets the bigger steam, 53. Bet down to 47. So, and actually as low as 46.5. And and Rutgers, Nebraska's down to 11. So some steam on Rutgers, and definitely some big steam on the under there, and mostly because Nebraska's just really been an underachiever, and they're not going to. And Rutgers isn't an offensive powerhouse, so might be a nice solid play there for you with Nebraska and Rutgers to the under if you can get a decent number. And next game. Another big steam on the side, and the side is New Mexico. They're at Tulsa. Game opens up at 14. It got down as low as 10, and actually our current number is, tough for me to find that current number on the fly here like that, so sorry, I want to get you the current number. But a lot of steam there on New Mexico. Game number 365. And that current number on that game is 10.5. And the total is at 67. So a little steam on the under. But a lot of steam there on New Mexico and at Tulsa here today. Another steam game, Auburn, Missouri. Game opens up 17. Seen it as high as 19.5. Back down to 17.5. And then we have total 55.5. Opens up at 55.5. Steamed up to 60.5. So a lot of steam on that over with Auburn, Missouri to the over. Big steam play. Might be a little late if you're up to 61 on that game. Oklahoma State, TCU, the favorite, everybody's darling right now. Oklahoma State gets the steam early, 10 to 12.5. I'm on it. A lot of people are on it as if you go to if you're on the Facebook, watching us on Facebook right now, you'll see that a lot of people have used in our polls. Everybody is on Oklahoma State, rightfully so. You got to get on the Oklahoma State train until the train derails, but they have a lot to prove here. They don't want just a win; they want a big win because they have to play Oklahoma basically twice to get themselves to the championship game, if that's going to happen. And the first game, I don't know if it's really going to matter because we've seen Ohio State lose the first game, win the second game, still come out smelling like a rose on a split out. So a lot of questions to be answered for that. TCU, Oklahoma State is a big fan favorite here today. I look for Oklahoma State to get the job done covering, and always looking to bet Oklahoma State over. Game opened up at 67, got steamed up to 71, and now we are looking at about a 70, so a little bit of touch back down on the 70.5, a little touch back down on the under. So that's pretty much it. UCLA, I'm sorry, we got UCLA, another steam move here, and they open up at 6.5, bet to 7 on Stanford, but the total opens up at 65. Steam down to 58.5. So a lot of steam on the under in this game. They're thinking Stanford is the team that's going to have their way in this game. And I think the under may be a little bit too soft right now for you to be betting that at that low number because UCLA, obviously, they can put points on the board, but now they're facing an actual defense. We'll see what actually happens here this week. So, and that's it for our quick little steam report. Now, let's welcome our newest member of the BettorCenter board and newest member to the BettorCenter live show, and that is Jack 7, Jack Davis, a.k.a. known as Jack 7. Jack,
yes,
welcome
sir.
to BettorCenter.
Thank you very much.
How you doing today?
Much. It's a pleasure. Doing great.
Well, appreciate you being here today. And as I told everybody before, you got a nice math background, and those are the things that I'm really looking for because you're never going to learn anything from somebody that you're always agreeing with, and you're never going to learn anything from somebody that knows what you know. I want to know what you know because I don't know how to do these formulas, but we saw it the other day. You had a nice play with San Fran and the Rams, and you showed us how that had that regression, and it almost looked like a trap. And everybody,
Exactly.
everybody was on the Rams, and
Correct. Everybody.
and the
Right. On
graph
the
looked like a
Rams
trap.
and perfect. Yes. We look at a lot of different things. A quick background, been stats and analytics for approximately 5 years. I got a degree. I did some statistics in college. Got a master's degree in human behavior and performance. So I've always been curious of how these numbers and how human behavior and prediction can then relate to sports. So I've been developing it, ran some tests, and it comes out, it's decently good. So that's kind of what we put Pirate Sports together, and that's what we're doing.
I'm a big fan of the human behavior and gambling in sports. I use
Correct.
that, I guess, in my mind, my big mathematical equation in my mind. But you're looking for Mr. Mo coming into town, and Mr. Momentum, that guy has a number. Everything in science and that we live on is a number, and you can
Correct.
figure that
Right. And
out.
so that's definitely so one of my theories is we can always look for value and predictability in any of the numbers. It's my thoughts that human behavior is actually predicted. So if you can know how to compile these numbers, you can start to see patterns emerge. With these patterns, that now gives us a very non-biased data set, and that's what sometimes I think a lot of the bettors, a lot of the out of Las Vegas guys, they fall for those.
I do agree, and I also agree. From me not being a formula type of guy, I can sit down and see the behavior, and the behavior comes out in the stats. People say, "Well, stats and trends they don't work. They're not your friend." I'm not. They're absolutely your friend. The behavior that you're
Absolutely.
talking about turns into a number after enough games, after enough plays, after seeing enough things. It's the program that you have to build to go look for that every day.
Exactly. And so then what we can do with those data sets, like we said, that are non-biased. But however, it gives me some data that I can use, versus the values of a game. For instance, one of my values that I put into a game would be, for example, a team that rushes more. Obviously, that's going to have a much higher value against a defense than, say, a team that passes more. So you can start to compare how teams will do against each other and start assigning those values, and then you can start seeing some patterns for sure.
Yes, just finding out the things that happen on the field, convert it into
Correct.
a number, giving it the power of a number, whatever your power is. So, and it takes experience on top of it. You have to spend years of actually seeing that human behavior unfold in real time. And
Absolutely.
a lot of my opinion is like these coaches, you know, people want to trust these coaches as the guys with the information. But a coach is looking at his one team and the team he's playing each week. And that's the only game
Exactly.
he watches. When you sit down and you have a
Right.
gambler like me, you, watching as many games as possible every day, you're seeing this behavior unfold. We see it, and so if we're watching 20 games a day, maybe not every game, every play, or all that, but we're in the zone of focusing on that many games every day visually, and we're seeing so much more than what these coaches are offering, or what these coaches can see, and that's why this
Absolutely.
stuff
And
is very important.
right. And that's kind of the neat thing about when you can put it into a formula, you can build that now. And the computer basically does the work for us. All I have to do is, pretty much use the 4 or 5 different criterias that I know for each team. It plots it for you, so it makes it very, very non-biased, and you can gain it, strictly from a numbers-based perspective.
Awesome. So what do you see for us here today? If you look at the grass, we got some grass out here. You're our first graph to the BettorCenter board. And once again, I do want to say tomorrow we'll also be adding another mathematician coming to the table. His MB. I don't want to butcher his last name. I'm going to let him introduce himself tomorrow. But he's from Greece. man from Greece, doing the math
Yes.
and finding money in the American sports market. So looking forward to that. So, but and you'll be joining us again tomorrow as well. So
Yes, sir.
we'll be here an hour before kickoff. So now, what do you have prepared for us here today? We got some graphs here. What do we got going on?
Okay, the first one I have is I run basically a simulation set with usually 10 to 15 of the top games. With those, I can then get a predictability of, anywhere from 60 to, well, there's never been 100%, but the higher the percent, the more reliable that data set is going to be. So the first game I have today is Army at Tulane.
Army at Tulane. Okay.
Yes.
Let's get the
If
Army
you
at
look
Tulane
at the numbers
image up.
there,
Eugene? Okay. So, all right, so we'll get that Army at Tulane image up. So what are you seeing in the Army Tulane game?
perfect. Both of these teams, they both come off a pretty big loss. Tulane, obviously, the loss to Oklahoma. And however, Army did get beat by Ohio State, but they did play them really close. It was 17-7 at half before, obviously, Ohio State's depth took over. But in the predictability models that we have today, both teams run the option. Both teams have strong rushing offensive values. I think it's just going to come down to quarterback play and who's going to be a little bit more dependable. I think Army, given the discipline, giving their success with their running attack that they have, I find a lot of value in them getting points here. So the last I checked, it was Army +3. So I think going to Tulane with that kind of number, I really like that.
Okay, so you like Tulane +3. Eugene, we have the wrong image up, and we'll give you a little bit of an image of the. You got a score right here of Army, 31-17.
Army,
is that what it
yes.
says? Wrong one.
Yes, 31-17 is what I usually do. Is I've found that if I can simulate 115 games, that really gives me a really good handle on how the game will turn out.
All right. So we have another prediction out here: 31-17 Army, based on a mathematical model that Jack 7 has been putting together. And before we get on to the next game, why don't you tell everybody how what you can offer you can offer sports services, help,
Yes.
and guidance. You can also offer the player help and guidance. What is it that how so? Obviously, we see with these numbers, but
yeah, definitely. It's basically a huge time saver, which as in a sports service, time is money. You cannot waste a lot of time getting values, looking at different lines. So what we would do is I would just offer 7 to 9 different projections, 9 different games that I find out that's going to give us the highest percent value versus the lines that you can get out there. So you can get a little bit better informed decision to go along with your handicapping skills as well.
So there you go. So you're basically offering a nice mathematical formula, bringing all that information to the table. And it doesn't mean that you have to bet everything that's given there, but it's certainly a well thought out guide at worst, right?
Correct. Right.
Okay.
It would be one if let's say you're 50-50 on a game. It just gives you a little more insight as to how the teams have done. And again, it saves you the time. I mean, we run approximately 115 different game simulations with, anywhere from 5 to 6 variables. So it's going to give you a pretty good idea of what could happen in that game.
Very cool. I subscribe to us living in a simulation. So I am very much into the simulation idea. History does repeat itself. All you need to do is have it documented, and it certainly repeats itself. The more documentation, the more angles you have, the better chance you have of it repeating itself on the ball field every day for you. So next game on the board that you have for us.
The next one I have is I'm originally from Texas, so I really specialize in Pac-12 and Big 12 games. There are definitely more variables. Once you're more familiar with the team, more comfortable, you can actually assign 6 different variables in each game. So, for example, today we have Texas Tech at Houston. Both teams heavy pass teams. So I will assign greater value to quarterback, wide receiver, just different things that I can find. Coaching is extremely important, and we even add a level of confidence. So we assign that a little bit of a value in these games as well.
So you put a number on their level of confidence, Mr. Momentum.
Correct, absolutely. So in this game, we found a really, really high value. As I said, both teams pass extremely much. Texas Tech comes in with 80 passing attempts just in 2 games. The Houston quarterback, I don't know if you've kept up, but he's actually 56 for 65 in 2 games passing. So both teams are definitely going to they're going to go back to their passing skills for sure.
And definitely keep up. And I am definitely on the over in this one here today. I'm actually giving out 2 executive plays. I'm agreeing with you here today. I see the over as a play, and
Correct.
I believe you see Texas Tech as a play as well.
Yes, I did basically a close distribution model. And if you can see on the screen, I can put these up on the Facebook as well. But
sure.
This one's coming in at about a 74% chance that both teams will score almost even and almost identical. In games where we see that happening, where both teams are going to be very, very even, this one's producing anywhere from 38 to 45 points per team. So in a case like that, I love the points. You're getting Texas Tech with a free touchdown. So +7 if you can get that for sure.
Yes, the screen says -6, but that's a typo. It is if you can get 7. Right now, I'm seeing a lot of 6s on this. So I think 7 might be a hard number to get at this stage of the game. But
right. And
I'm trying to look as we go here, try to get us a live update. I forgot what game number that one is. But I totally agree with you all the way. Texas Tech, they just throw the ball, and then when they're done, they throw the ball again.
Absolutely. Right. And exactly. And as you know, I mean, time of possession is going to be, that's going to be critical. Both teams are going to run anywhere from, they would like to run close to 90 plays. So it's going to be up and down for sure. And anytime I can get a free touchdown in that, I would be pretty confident, even at 6.5. So I do like that one.
I see a potential outright winner. So I'm playing it thinking that there's a shot at the money line. I definitely think the touchdown is definitely going to be well within the number for us, and I think the over is going to be a solid winner. So now go ahead.
No, absolutely agree with you.
All right, great. So let's see if that really is great at the end of the day, but we'll see in a few hours. So those are a couple early games, or actually that one's going off here in a little bit, in about 27 minutes from now. And then you have 4 plays or so that you felt had some value, correct? 4 money lines?
Yes, sir. If you're familiar with gambling, I'm sure you've heard of the Kelly criterion.
Yes.
Basically, this is a formula. It's going to tell you how much to bet when your odds and values are actually in your favor. So it's always good to have those predictabilities, kind of laid out for you. But so the bet will equal the probability. So I kind of picked 4 that we really like. That could pay off well at the money line.
Okay. Let me see if I can get those 4 on the screen here real quick. The first image that has 4 picks on there in the bottom right hand corner.
And I can talk about them as they come up. No worries.
There it is.
Okay, great. The first one we have there, they're ranked lowest to highest. I don't know if you can see it from the screen, but basically, I would go from the top down. I have UCLA plus 235 straight up win on that one. So there's a lot of value in UCLA. Okay. I like Air Force. Public's really hitting San Diego State, especially after a big win here in San Diego versus Stanford. I do see a letdown there. They haven't been ranked 2 consecutive weeks in a very long time. And I like the disciplined Air Force team and the running attack. So I see a lot of value at plus 160 for the money line on that one.
Interesting, because, San Diego State, beating 2 Pac-12 teams is pretty impressive for them. And now they've also covered 5 out of the last 6 versus this team. But that's not a great sample to work with. If you can get a team that has that confidence going in, and same coaching going in, then it's
Right.
it's an
Exactly.
advantage.
And it's just more of a value play. Like we said, I would put this at, very, very least, a 1 unit play, but at plus 160, I do like the value on that
Doesn't
one.
mean I'm right. I'm just saying interesting because a couple different numbers. I'm staying away from the game. I believe more in your numbers than, so yes, the trend, sure, they've covered 5 out of the last 6, and I think it might even be at Air Force on the
Yes.
road. So, yes, the trend, you can't just bet on that. You get to use that as part of the arsenal. So, but I believe
Exactly.
your numbers would probably, are definitely going to be a lot more than just me saying this team has covered 5 out of the last 6 up in Air Force.
Definitely. Right. And like we said, we're just looking for value on that one. Two of the other ones, I agree with what we talked about earlier. I love the Texas Tech. It was plus 220 money line last I checked. And then the big one, for some reason, it's really putting a lot of value on Iowa at home today. I know they play a big Penn State team coming in, but the Iowa line last I checked was plus 370. So that's always worth a little sprinkle for a money line, paying plus 370 at that price. And they've always played Penn State pretty tough. I could look for a little letdown, but a lot of value on Iowa plus 370.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of chatter on the Facebook board with our poll. A lot of players all over that Iowa game, and a lot of players. Just go through a couple other games here real quick. A lot of players on BC plus 34 over Clemson. Everybody's looking for a little bit of a letdown there with Clemson, and Purdue.
Right.
Purdue's getting a little bit of a buzz as well, and I think maybe they have a small coming out party here today. Don't know if they'll beat Michigan, but I think they'll be prepared for Michigan, and this is Purdue's little opportunity. And
Absolutely, yeah. This is definitely the Saturday of huge lines, and it just makes you wonder what teams are looking past their opponents today. How many teams will get up 4 touchdowns and then just kind of rest a lot of people? So a lot of value in those more than 35 points. There's quite a few out there.
I agree with those big favorites, but you need to know who is going to play in the second half, and so you do need to know your coaching, and that's pretty critical. So speaking of coaching, what do you do with your coaching analytics? How's that? You got anything over there?
Sure. Yes, absolutely. These the great thing about is once you get a pretty good formula and model, you can use these across any sport. So I use those, every weekend I can. So I just like to help people out. That's why we're offering a service, save you guys some time, and just test and see if this could be a viable option. But so far, it's proved really well, and the numbers come in. We're really enjoying what's going on.
Awesome. So why don't you let everybody know where they can find you there, Jack, and so they can get out there, get a look, get some of that information from you, and give them an idea.
Absolutely. Right. On the Facebook, we try to stay really active in the LSVPN site there, the Facebook group. Also, you can find us at piratesportsgroup.com. The pirate here, we're like taken from the book, so that's kind of our motto. But we love to help guys out. I understand, there are paid services that are pretty expensive, so that was kind of my motto. I want it affordable for everybody, and I just want to be able to help as much as I can.
How do you charge?
We charge monthly. There are also, definitely specials for, all sports that we do. But, we really provide a good value. That's the biggest. We're looking anywhere from $49 to $61 a month, and you'll get, the 7 to 9 games for college and NFL both. So really good value.
All right. So piratesportsgroup.com. That's Jack 7. Thanks again, Jack. I appreciate you joining us here today. We'll see you again here tomorrow morning with some NFL talk.
Yes, sir. We're ready to go. I got a couple of upsets, anti-public ones for sure.
Awesome. Looking forward to it tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time with BettorCenter. So we'll see Jack again here tomorrow. Thanks again, Jack. Now, like I said, so welcome, Jack. Also, again, remember tomorrow we got MB coming up with some more mathematical models. And guys, I like the mathematical models. Sure, I'm a hype tout sensationalist, but I've had a free run at bankroll for 30 years. At the end of the day, I was paying attention. So I may not know how to do the mathematical formulas, but I got a little bit of a photographic memory from all this stuff that I've been watching for 30 years. And it's kind of computed, and it has turned into a human behavior type of thing by a natural event. So it really comes down to understanding human behavior in a sports environment, and that's why live action right now, live betting, is really, really beneficial for the guys that can understand that. Because when Mr. Mo comes to town, you want to have money on him. It's as simple as that. So, and Mr. Mo comes out of the numbers. There's no doubt about that. So let's look at a couple more plays on the BettorCenter Facebook board, where guys are. We have a poll there every day, top 20 or every week for the top 25, and Syracuse seems to have more opinions than LSU. More guys on Syracuse than LSU, but UNLV, big favorite here today, fan favorite, 45-point favorite, losing outright. Could they make up for it by being a 40-point dog, winning outright? Well, I highly doubt it, but they'll keep the damn game close. They got some great offense. Could be a nice little over there today. But I like the points. I think UNLV plus the points, and seems like plenty others do as well, as nobody has jumped on the Ohio State bandwagon. USC has been a big favorite here for everybody on the BettorCenter board today, as all USC action, nobody taking Cal. Louisville, another big fan favorite, looking for everybody to rebound there. They were up to 44 against Kent State. Louisville rebound after the Clemson debacle last week. And everybody on Louisville, nobody on Kent. And a lot of no opinions on the Arizona State-Oregon game. A couple opinions for Arizona State. Kentucky. I'm the only one on Kentucky here today, guys. Everybody's on Florida on the BettorCenter board but me. And maybe that's why I took it, but I just don't see Florida being able to stay focused. They partied hard this week. They're college kids, and there's a reason why that's a short number. So I think Kentucky pulls off the upset here today. And then Air Force and San Diego State seems to be a toss-up for everybody except for our man, Jack 7, who sees a little value there as a value play. Washington State minus 28.5 is a big favorite on the BettorCenter board. Everybody's on Washington State, looking for a nice big blowout in that game today. Oklahoma State, of course, we're all on it. We've been on them from the beginning, and stay on them. Even if they don't do it this week, they'll do it next week. So, and then Alabama, Vandy. Everybody's on Alabama, and I can't see a reason to play either side of the game. So I have no opinion on that one. So, and then we got the Missouri-Auburn game. A lot of no opinions. And Mississippi State, big favorite, fan favorite on the BettorCenter board, +4. Only one person on the Georgia bandwagon, and that'd be Kenny Varner. Sports Have Balls is on the Georgia Bulldog wagon. Dogs are better. Are better. Everyone's on an overreaction to beating an injury-riddled average team by 30 points. Those are Kenny's words, especially assuming from an all-day dogs by 10 plus at home. I don't know how the hell that meant, but he said Georgia Bulldogs gonna win by 10. Kenny Varner. So, but everybody else seems to think Mississippi State is the winner. So, please join us again tomorrow. We're going to have Big Rick here tomorrow. We're going to have MB, mathematician. We're going to have Jack 7, mathematician. So we're going to have some good stuff here tomorrow for the NFL. And like Jack said, he's got a nice surprise for you. So make sure you join us tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon, for BettorCenter Live.